It's stalling. Good afternoon, recorded people. Oh, wait, we have some live today.
Ah, cool.
Seriously, there's nothing more frustrating. Okay, it's not more frustrating because I know you all watch it. I was just looking at our social media feeds recently. I'm like, holy crap, we've got a lot of people digesting our content. Why aren't they doing it live?
No. Nobody's got time for that.
I think people are kind of burned out of live streams these days. Like, I don't even watch live streams, even of my favorite people. It's always like, save for later.
Yeah.
And then I consume while I'm, eating a bowl of chili or like doing lunch or, hey, the short form content will come out soon and I'll see the best of. Like the last time I watched a full daily show, it has to have been months. Right? I ain't got time for full shows.
Yeah.
So maybe my kids are rubbing off on me. Like they can watch a TV show and watch shorts and reels at the same time and be bored.
Yeah.
Back in my day, you watched whatever was on TV and then you had to like turn this thing that made clicking noises.
Yeah.
And you had 3 choices. 4 if you had a big antenna.
You're lucky. Yeah.
And one of those was public broadcasting.
My wife impressed me the other day. We were at the gym and she was listening to a book and following along. I mean, she could comment on several parts of it, but at the same time, she's watching a TV show that they have up there on the displays and reading it via subcaptions. And I'm like, my brain would just implode if I tried to do something like that. So there are talented people like that out there. Apparently, I'm not one of them.
Yeah. So anyways, this week, actually, I was looking at my events. So just so you know, if for those of you who never hear me talk about this, the way Adam does and Skip do these Thursday releases is we go onto our website, we go to humanizeit.biz/events. Mm-hmm. We scroll down and look for the 2025 calendar. We click on it. This happens all like 2 minutes before we start the live stream. Yep. It's like, what are we talking about today? And we're talking about product updates.
Yep.
Right. That is how easy it is to do these updates. And you can do the same thing with your customer. Like, hey, oh crap, I need to go talk to, Roses R Us today, one of my big clients. What am I talking about? You should have a calendar of events that says, oh, I need to have a budget session with them. I should probably prep for that.
Yep.
That's going to require some prep time. You should have seen that one coming ahead of time. But usually it's going to be, we need to do a QBR. That's easy. If you're doing a 6-hour prep for a QBR, you're doing it wrong. Again, I throw my challenge out there for any of you. You guys can always pay for Adam Walter. I'll happily fly out or drive out to your city and do a QBR for you without knowing a single thing. Yep. I challenge you on it, and I'll generate revenue. It's that easy. That's why we've been talking to you guys about going and be curious. If you're a curious person, I don't even need to know the name of your MSP. I'm going to go in there and I'm going to talk to your client as if they were somebody I needed to learn about. I'm going to walk away with a ton of projects for you. That's the way this works.
It really does.
Adam doesn't have that much time in his day, but the challenge is still there. Like, hey, I'll give you $10,000 to come out and do this for me. Okay, cool. I'll hook up my camper and come south if you're warm. I'll give you a special
I can jump on a plane just about anywhere.
That's because you're in Houston.
That's right. Yeah. So everything's easy for me.
This week, we're talking about our product updates. And one of the things we're really bad about, as I said, we're really curious about learning about you. We're really bad about talking about ourselves. We have the opposite problem of a lot of you MSPs.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting that out there. It's like, so we had a bunch of releases last year, and we'll have existing customers go, wait a minute, you can do that? I'm like, yes, it's right here. It's in the menu. How do you not see that? And they're like, well, I just always go directly to my client's page, or I always go directly to my dashboard. I'm like, so Skip and I discovered the other day, thank you 5 9s for pointing this out, that our little member 101 updates don't hit any other portion other than the homepage.
Yeah.
We did it on purpose though, because people didn't want those happy little chat notices you get when you're in the middle of a meeting with a client. No one wants that.
Now, those pop-out windows, I've started using those, but I don't know. It was a bit of a emotional challenge for me to overcome, because when I'm using software, I don't want all these alerts and, FYIs popping out. I'm doing something. So I try to make those as unobtrusive as possible, but they are becoming a nice little resource, and we have lots of plans for new things to queue up for you there.
Yeah, I think Skip doesn't really swear a lot. I've become more of a swear person lately. But if you want to see the closest he comes to swearing is when he talks about app queues.
Yeah, that one has been, that one's been a thing.
It's entertaining. If I ever need to kill time in a level 10 or something, I say, how are app queues going? And then, well, and I can make a cup of coffee. I can go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, when it comes to like product releases, we really don't do a lot in terms of like notifying everybody. You might see an email come out. What I've been told is when you have a product release, you need to send like 10 emails on that product release. You need to send like 3 live updates, and then you need to do several streams and a lot of short form content. And we've been really bad about it because we don't like spamming people. We don't like having 6,000 updates. But the general rule of thumb for you MSPs out there is 1 out of every 4 communications really gets remembered. So if you send your client 4 emails, 1 a week for a month, and that's your cadence, your client is only going to hear from you once a month. That's it.
Yep.
And so you really need to be communicating more often. Like if you can think of the rule of 4, the 1 out of 4 being read, 1 out of 4 is being understood, 1 out of 4 is being noticed.
Yeah.
Then you got to think, okay, how often do I need to communicate now? All right.
And I think there's some ways that you can, enhance that with those communications. Maybe it's not 4 emails. Maybe it's an email, a phone call, another tag on a social media platform or whatever. I think you can add, some different dynamics to that if just the sheer number of emails becomes an issue. But being able to say that and say that again and say it again is really important. And sometimes, I hate to kind of bring anybody down to a level that I'm not intending to, but think about raising kids, right? How many times do you tell your kids something really, really important and they don't get it? And you have to tell them and tell them and tell them again before it finally kicks in. And while we're not treating our clients like kids, I think there is a growing process there in the relationship that you need to work on. And there may be times when you need to communicate the same thing in multiple ways, multiple times to make sure that your clients get that information.
Yeah. So what I want to tell you guys about right now is what is it that came out in 2024? What did you miss most likely? So this will be like our 10th conversation on this. So it means maybe you've heard about one of these once before. But I really wanted to look at this in terms of what can you do now that you couldn't do in 2023, for instance. Now, this is outside of bug fixes and minor updates like, being able to smoothly integrate here and there. We're not really talking about that. What we're talking about is what are actual features that you can do now that you could not do before that'll make your life a lot easier. So let me get over here real quick. Oh, where are we at? Entire screen. My old crappy screen. Yes, that one. So what we have here, this is the normal view, right? So what a lot of you haven't noticed is up here. This is the one you need to be playing with. This is the one that's the rabbit hole that will never end. And it brings me no end of joy to watch Skip try to create these rules. I sent you edits the other day to your rule. I'm like, Skip, if you do that, it's going to bring back everything.
Yep.
Skip's like, why is this bringing back all the things I don't want to see? So anyways, it happens to the best of us. When your brain gets tired at the end of the day, do not write these rules. Do this in the beginning of the day, right when the coffee kicks in.
I just got spooled off. I got down a rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It caved in behind me.
So what I want you guys to see here is that we have different sections. Like you can make your own sections. You can do this. Invest time in this because this is where a lot of our active development is going towards enabling this to be insanely powerful. This is your tech stack right here. We should probably just call it tech stack, just so it wasn't ambiguous.
Mm.
What we want you to be able to do is come in here and define what is your standard firewall. How many of your clients, can you tell me off the top of your head, how many of your clients are not running your standard firewall? Maybe if you're a small shop, you can probably do it. But as your shop gets bigger, more and more of this cash goes through the cracks. You need your account managers to know when they walk in the door, hey, this is non-standard. We need to replace that Linksys firewall you bought at Best Buy 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
That's not doing you any favors. It's fast, but that's about it.
Yeah.
Attackers are fast too. We want you to move up to a better one so that we can get you working from home. We want you to move up to a better one so that you can do X, Y, and Z, and what business plans are going to happen because of that new firewall. So what you're going to do is you're going to create your rules for each kind of technology that's important to you. And once that technology is defined, it's defined forever. You can always update it. Say you move to SonicWall or you move to Checkpoint, or I'm showing my age. You're moving to some kind of Cisco or Meraki, just update it here. And now when your client goes in or your account manager goes in as a non-technical person, they'll be able to apply these smart rules to any client they want.
Right.
Maybe you just want to look for any Dell PCs that are older than 5 years. You can create a rule for that. Now your account managers know to look for it. They don't have to be highly technical. Maybe Windows 10 has retired and you're having the worst time finding Windows 10 machines. Well, right now you have to scroll through the inventory, right? Or create some kind of script to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do now is you can click Run Delivery. And you can select the rule that you want and you can run it. So that I can say, hey, I'm an account manager. I don't know anything about firewalls, but I know I've got a good deal on firewalls going. So I'm just going to go ahead and select this. Network assessment. I'm gonna click Run Assessments, and look, it found 2 firewalls at this client. That's $8,000 of revenue you just found. You didn't need to know what the firewalls were. You didn't need to know where they were or how they were installed. All you need to know is they were in the inventory in your PSA, soon to be your RMM, making that feature coming out here. Mm-hmm. And now you can just say, oh, look, I have revenue. I go to talk to the client. Hey, these firewalls are out of date. This is a problem for you. Hey, if you move to the new version, and you can see your marketing collateral, which will be put in here for you, ready to go. Hey, if you do this, you'll be able to work from home. If you do this, you'll be able to work from anywhere.
Well, and let me kind of expanding this. I've been working with one of our members, and we're getting lots of really cool stuff in here. And somewhat standard sort of breakout here. Their account management team. Not everyone on that team is super technical. Right. And so they're looking at some of those rules and they feel like I was the other day, like I can't make heads or tails of this thing. And what I was talking with them about is, this is a great opportunity where we get to leverage what we always talk about, and that's your team. Right. So those rules can be established and set up by your ops team. They can get in those, put those out the way that matches the really kind of technical specifications that we're trying to drill into, and then anybody can run those rules. So that will be able to come up. That way your ops team maintains kind of a little bit more of the detail oriented elements of this, and your account management team gets to operate on just the results of that. Hey, this is not what the team is saying it needs to be. Right. Yep. And of course, there's descriptions in there. So someone can comment, hey, this is why we want to do this. You can put all that sort of information if you want. But now you've got a quick tool, and you can use it a couple of different ways. You might not want to do the thing that Adam just did there and put it on the roadmap. Okay. You don't have to do that. You can actually generate just a score with it. And you can use those scores on a persona. Maybe you review those with your clients. Maybe they're internal personas that you look at and go, oh, wow, I've got a meeting coming up next week. And it looks like the ops team is saying that they're missing or they have a firewall out there that we don't need to, be supporting. And it works great at finding those little things that everyone has long forgotten about. and won't remember until there's a problem. Right? These rules are going to run, very exhaustively, searching through this list and identifying those items. So while you look at what Adam has put in here as just a single stream of doing things, that works. But once you lay the foundation and leverage your team, this becomes a very multifaceted sort of feature that all of your team can participate in and really kind of use it in the way it matches your flow and your organization.
Yeah, and that's all we're trying to do is save you time. So in Ninja, you can actually do, I think they call them compound rules, if anybody can correct me here, where upon an asset discovery, run this script. Upon asset or thing 1, thing 2 discovery, do this thing, right? We're doing the same thing, but with projects. And his ultimate goal is like when you see a rogue asset pop up, create project. These are features that we're heading towards. It just takes a little while because we need your feedback to say, is this working right? And then we move on. A lot of developers and a lot of software providers push out so many updates so fast that they don't give time for QA or baking in.
Yeah.
We don't do that. We are an independent vendor. We are restricted by many, many, many things. And so we deliberately move forward and we make sure something's working, we move forward. Make sure something's working, move forward. It's not waterfall. It's still agile in the iterative process. But at the same time, you can see when you're playing with our software that it is very intuitive, that there are things that are working out well. So another thing that really a lot of people asked for last year that took us a little while to kind of hammer it down is we did some research into compliance initiative. Right? Who should we be integrating with? Should we be integrating with like a Galactic Advisors? Should we be integrating with Avanahi? Should we be pulling data in from what source for compliance? And as we were doing our research, we found people who would be good at like 1 or 2 compliance, right? They might be good at NIST or they might be good at CIS. And that's all they do because they just wanted to be able to say they had a compliance tool. Sure, Humanized IT is a compliance tool. We have a NIST, CIS, and anything else. Essentials 8.
The Australian Essentials 8, yep.
We have 3. Look, we're a compliance tool, right? No,
no.
You won't hear this from Adam. We happen to have some forms that you can use that are convenient, but we are not a compliance as a service tool. You won't hear us say that because I, Adam Walter, used to be a critical infrastructure security director. I had my CISSP. I dealt with a lot of paperwork and compliance. Compliance at a level that most of you haven't even thought of. I guarantee you, when you start talking about ground sensors and start talking about substations, you're going to think of a whole different level. Like my compliance initiatives would be talking about, is a deer coming too close to my substation? How many of you have written a policy around that? Anyways, so can a tactical drone come in? Weird things, right? What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to look at compliance on all these scenarios, right? The different businesses you're working with are going to have different scenarios and different compliance initiatives that they have to observe so that they can do business with a federal agency, a state agency, a city authority, or maybe a bank or whoever it is. And you can't just kind of half do that. You have to go in on something. And so to that end, we went with compliance scorecard. So if you're working with them, you can bring in what compliance initiative you're working on and the completion status. So when you go up to your widgets for your client, you can actually say, how are we doing on compliance? Because this isn't going to be a complete compliance meeting. We can say, hey, look, here's how far we are, right? So we're going to add a compliance scorecard. I'm going to say I want an assessment or I want a policy and I want how big I want it to be. And I can put it on here. And then when you're talking about QBRs or you're talking about a client strategy meeting or whatever, a client review of what's going on, you say, hey, look, I see you're doing SOC 2 with us. Looks like our teams are working really well. I think they could use a little bit more help with the at-risk column. You can just kind of generally say that you're not a compliance person, but you have a team that is, and you have a vendor that you're working with that is helping you with compliance as a service. So big shout out to Compliance Scorecard for this feature that came out last July. And so these are like 2 of the major initiatives we had last year. I'm trying to think what our February initiative was. It's been so long. Yeah. I should just go back in our dev queue. A lot of the things we came out were this polishing up things that happened in 2023. for instance, having a better Autotask integration, having a better Halo integration, applying tickets and reviewing tickets. So along those lines of tickets, I really want to point out this. This is a little feature that's been making a big difference for a lot of account managers. When you come in and you have a ticket queue here, you can see what's going on in your PSA. Just a high level. We're not going to dive into them. But you can now, if the client brings up something in the meeting, just go ahead and grab the ticket and put it in place.
Yep.
Put it on the right service board so that everybody's happy, they feel heard, and you don't get derailed in the meeting. So you can set your action items at the end of a meeting. You know, when you come down to the takeaway, who's doing what, you can create those tickets over here now. It's really easy. And now everybody's happy, right? You're just closing the loop. Little tiny features like that come out that are given a lot of thought. So
Adam, I think the feature that you might be looking for early last year, it was either early last year or late the year before, was our asset importing tool. And so redoing that, there's a couple of cool things in there. One, we've always been able to bring in assets. All right. But now we're syncing those up. We're reading information out of the PSA. But there's a really cool function now that it was in place before, but it works better now that we've got a little bit more streamlined operation available to you. And once these assets are in, it will automatically generate budgets for you. All right. It's a super powerful feature. I think a few more people are seeing that because that's pretty obvious. But I want to really highlight one additional step that you can do that I think provides a tremendous amount of value. And that is once you have that budget conversation with your client. We've talked lots about those, so I won't mention that, but you have that budget conversation. And at the end of that, your client leans back and goes, I think this is a budget we can work with. You've collaborated with them. All right. They're bought in. All right. So everyone, agrees on this. You can take that budget and create a budgetary proposal for them. You send that out. Now, here's it's the small detail that I think provides a lot of great benefit is when they get that proposal, all right, and they click the approve button. All right, one, you're going to get an email. All right, that's kind of nice. Everybody, likes a little notification, but that email is going to get lost, right, with all the other stuff. But by approving the budget, it will automatically take all those projects that are on your roadmap that you did talk to your client about and say they are approved. Now, are they approved to send the invoice? No, because we're talking about a budget, right? But as it approves them and they're placed in the appropriate time slots. So if you're now sitting in February talking about assets that are going to be replaced in November and the budget is approved for that, you'll know, and you don't need to talk about this until October, right? So this ability to have a conversation, get actions items out of it, and then in your next engagement, not rehash everything you've done before or track down those action items. It allows you to really move forward in your engagements so that you're constantly focusing on what needs to be done and not on what did or, not a report of what is there, right? This past tense sort of cycle that we get stuck in sometimes. Reviews have their place, but in moving forward, you've got to talk about future state actions. Yep. So this allows you to keep that focus on what is going to be happening.
Yep. And we have a bunch of little things that came out last year that kind of just smooths this out. Again, like the asset import process, some tweaks to that, the tweaks to the PSA import processes, because each PSA has their own unique way of viewing data. And that's what's really fun to us. We're not trying to force everything to be exactly the same. We're trying to make it so you have a single pane of glass to see everything. And that's going to be kind of the roadmap for 2025 going into 2026 is now that we have a lot of these workflows looking really nice, we're going to be putting a lot more effort into Ninja RMM coming out as a tool. So you can automatically take a asset discovery and move it into a project proposal that gets approved. And now your sales team can run with it with very little effort. We're talking seconds of effort. Our goal is to make your job easier so you can do what you're really good at, and that's having conversations and helping your clients move forward. So that's our quick little view of the major things that came out last year. So if you're not using any of those things, please play with them and save yourself some time. And then give us feedback. I know we're pretty much done with how our project roadmap is going to look like in 2025, but minor requests always make it in. Like, hey, it'd be nice if I could, for instance, I talked to a business the other day. Could I drag and drop things around the timeline? Yeah, you're like the 10th person to ask me to do that. I should probably just put that in there. So it's in there. And we've got a Miro board where when things really start hitting the road, we start designing out how is this going to look, so our devs know what our story looks like. And then everybody's very happy because we really have a good, solid foundation. It's not just vaporware. We actually have things on the board.
Yep.
So as for the product update, I really want everybody to know that we're here for you. Pay attention to our emails because we're bad at communicating. We're bad at telling people when we are doing things. We're really curious about what you want to do. And we're really good at asking those questions, but we're really bad at saying, oh, yeah, we fixed that 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Did we send out an email? Yeah, we sent out like 4 of them. Oh, they went to your spam? Sorry about that.
Yep.
So check out the smart rules, check out the compliance scorecard, check out the asset imports, check out the new ticketing tools, check out the new ticket review process, which I think actually that came out like last January. And yeah, have some fun with it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And use the portals, use everything that we have. And if you want a new onboarding session, or if you just want to talk to us through our product, just reach out, send us an email. I'll happily show you a new demo, show you some new features, and answer any questions you have.
Yeah. And on that, we've got several members, they've been rocking along for years. And they get to the point like, we've kind of been doing the same thing for 2, maybe even 3 years. And so I do get the opportunity to meet with those. We talk about all kinds of new features. Everybody's wowed. And then they come back later and go, all right, as we think about this, we like this and this. And I'm happy to meet with your team and work those out. Yep. That's really fun stuff. I very much enjoy building and helping people build stuff. So no hesitancy there. So reach out and grab some time on my calendar and we'll dive into that. Going forward, as we work on features and develop that out, our Discord server is getting more and more active. It's excited to see all that. So please, if you haven't already, join our Discord server. There's several elements to just chat, comment about things in general, our open community there, but there is a specific channel for product features. All right. And there we can have some more details. I've got lots of experience, within the MSP community, but my experience has shown me everybody does it differently. So this idea I have in my head about, things that I have seen or have done, I'm always like, yeah, but just as sure as I think that's the way, somebody else comes along and goes, no, we do it this way. So we really, really need that feedback. And it's fun seeing what you guys are doing and how we can be a part of that.
Definitely. We need your feedback. It helps. And it does get incorporated. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I don't have my events calendar open, so I don't know what's coming up next week, but I imagine it's going to be something around architecture assessments.
There we go.
All right, everyone. We'll see you all next week. Thank you for joining us. And hey, big shout out to everyone who's been listening to the podcast. I think we've doubled our numbers in the past 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So, which is a big deal for us because we were already having a significant number of people coming in. So thank you for everyone who's joining us on YouTube, everyone who's consuming our podcast that is getting huge and leaving us reviews. It's been awesome to see that grow. And it's always nice to see when you have this project of like giving back to the community with a podcast, having it really catch on. So thank you everyone who's been listening to our podcast. Even if you don't listen to our weeklies every week, we appreciate the podcast views.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.